your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
And welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show, always helping you win in any marketplace, making you more informed as a consumer. That is our goal. 10 years on air. Real excited about that. Excited about our partners that we have, expert contributors with the Consumer Quarterback Show. So many great folks that are, professionals. They are the absolute best in their industry, and they come in to educate, entertain, engage with you to help you live a better life. And we appreciate all the support. Reaching out to the hotline 727-263. 3707. You can call or text that line. It's an off-air number, 727-263-3707. Call or text that line. Sometimes I get calls and folks will start going into a story. They'll say, hey, wait, I'm not on the air right now, am I? And I say, no, you're not on the air. So that's an off-air number. Give us a call, and we'd love to talk to you. And you can text that line. ConsumerQB.com is also a plethora of resources available for you on our website, ConsumerQB.com. Great lineup for you today as well. Jenny Restrepo, Insured Title Agency, going to be in studio with us. She's also bringing a guest with her that can help you in your real estate transactions with some of the repairs and renovations and you get paid at closing. Also, Tom Rydberg, our go-to expert for all things mortgage and finance. DK Mortgage, Tom Rydberg in the house, and Draper and Kramer Mortgage Corporation. So we're going to talk with him about the rent versus own, hometown heroes, as well as hurricane season, of course, and some of the real estate cycle that we see here in Florida. And before we do, I want to give a quick shout out to Replenish IV Solutions, longtime friends of the Consumer Quarterback Show, replenishivsolutions.com. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. I like to go in there and get the vitamin infusion drip directly into my bloodstream. The replenishivsolutions.com, multiple Bay Area locations. They can come to your home or office as well. And it's something like the Myers cocktail. You may have heard of that. It's pretty popular. Myers cocktail from Replenish IV Solutions. Let them know the real estate quarterback sent you, so you can take them up on those special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, welcome in, Tom Rydberg.
How are you, bud?
Excellent, man. Excellent. Good to have you in.
Yeah, good to be back.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love jumping into these different stories around the economy. This debt ceiling just passed. This is a story that's on a lot of people's mind, too. The debt ceiling is a 314 to 117 House vote. They raised it for 2 more years, debt ceiling for 2 more years, avoiding a government default. Bill now goes to the Senate. Clock ticking down. So I like what Byron Donald said about it, though. He said, look, this is another Washington, D.C., it's full of pork. It's full of all this money. I feel like we needed to go to pre-COVID spending. They're basically solidifying all this extra money that the government, we, the people, taxpayers are paying,
Yeah, they kicked the can again. And as I listened to this unravel for the last couple of weeks, it brought me back to high school, and I was a terrible student, and I knew I had this big project coming up, and I would just wait till the last minute, and then what did I do? I'd get something together,
throw it together,
half-ass, and turn it in. And I feel like that's what they did for us again.
Oh man, they sure did. It's unbelievable because it's the amount of spending is just crazy. I mean, talked in yesterday's show, we talked about credit card debt hitting over $1 trillion first time. Think about it. We're debt. We're in debt as a nation. We're in debt as citizens, and it's just they keep printing more money.
Yeah. So I need to find this post. It's from a few years ago. I don't know if you saw it. That it made the comparison if it was a family household. If you took all the zeros, like $1 trillion's too big of a number to understand, but if you got rid of like the last 6 zeros, and you identified that as your home finances, you would you'd jump off a cliff and you'd just be crying because it's like the money that's coming in isn't even remotely close to covering what our expenses are.
Yeah.
So. Yeah,
it's unbelievable. Yeah, because there's no accountability. That's what's scary about it. Yeah, it's an interesting look, man. Here's another story in the news I wanted to get to. So this is from the FDIC. That's the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation's latest report, which revealed that now close to $500 billion worth of deposits were withdrawn from U.S. banks for the first quarter of 2023. The report seemed to resurface unease from Silicon Valley Bank, Signature Bank, First Republic's failures with shares of all 10 of the biggest U.S. banks by market cap dipping at least 1% The $472 billion drop is the largest deposit contraction since the FDIC started tracking the data in 1984. And it's the fourth straight quarter in which total deposits declined. So it's like we're setting records everywhere.
Yeah. Well, and that one is, I'm a little bit suspicious when they talk about the regional banks and that, hey, everything's done and over, because I think they're just telling us that so that everybody just doesn't run, because it's not like you have to go wait in line at a bank to get your money out like you did 50 years ago. I mean, you can do it from your phone in a moment of seconds.
Right.
So I
true.
don't understand why you wouldn't take. I mean, if you have that kind of money deposited and it's not protected, why you wouldn't be moving it to a bigger bank?
And you spread it around too.
Spread it around, exactly.
I think that's what a lot of people are doing. Spread it around they'll keep it under 250 here, 250 there, 250 there.
Correct. But to suggest that everybody else, there's nothing to worry about.
Exactly.
Everything is fine. I just don't buy it. So that'll come up. So that story comes out a couple months after the fact. I'm sure. Again, we'll hear about what these real numbers were maybe 6 months from now.
Yeah, and it's just another.
We're on
example.
the verge of a bigger issue, but we were able to kind of work through it.
And it's another issue too, where these banks fail, but they bail them out, especially Silicon Valley Bank out in California, kind of a liberal area. Government bailed them out. You know? So frustrating.
You'd like to think a lot of those, the deposits, it wasn't working class people like ourselves.
Exactly.
These were big
tech investors.
Exactly. So that's the part that's frustrating. You would like to think that they were, they should have more responsibility. They should know better. Yep. And they made a mistake,
And they take a gamble, right?
Correct.
So you go in there and take a gamble. It's like going to Vegas saying, "Hey, I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to put it all on black or all on red."
Right.
And then it's like, "Oh, you didn't hit? Okay, we'll bail you out now."
Yeah, you and I don't have that backstop.
Of course not.
No.
Exactly. We're talking with Tom Rydberg here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. He's our finance expert contributor, mortgage expert contributor, DK Mortgage on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And, a lot of another topic, item in the topic is, will the Fed raise the rates, right? So there's a story here. It says, while investors may have been preparing for the Federal Reserve to hike interest rates once again at their June meeting, the prospect seems improbable. According to the Wall Street Journal, more likely officials will wait until later in the summer to raise rates once again, allowing, quote, more time to study economic effects of the Fed's 10 consecutive prior rate hikes. And that's what I've been saying all along. Why not slow it down? Why do you have to do it every single, time they meet, one after the other, and they're just sitting there, and that's what causes these problems, the long-term bonds. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, so I think the big discussion now is it's stop versus pause. And it's not, I don't know that it's a stop. I mean, I think that if they don't do it in June, that doesn't mean they're done. It's just a pause, and they're going to wait and see what the data comes back and says.
Reevaluate.
Exactly. So there's just a lot of conflicting information. I mean, the employment reports, again, if you buy ADPs that came out recently, that was stronger than expected. But you're starting to continue to see a decline in wage growth inflation. So that's positive. If that is an indicator of inflation probably subsiding a little bit. So yes, I think too much, too fast is what caused this shock to the system, and I think that it takes a while for this to kind of hit the markets, and you see the full implications of those rate hikes. So I'm certainly in a favor of a pause and wait. And see what the data shows.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like pumping the brakes, but they're putting the brakes to a screeching, halt where you've got so much momentum. And if you kill the momentum in the real estate industry, which they did back, what was it, October, November, December, right? I mean, they killed the industry, slowed it down significantly. If you think about the economic impact that, real estate, mortgage, insurance, title companies, then that gets into your home inspectors, your home repair, fixer-upper type companies, all those different appliance stores. People are going to be investing in appliances, fencing on their homes, pools, spas, outdoor kitchens. I mean, it goes on and on, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So you think about that trickle-down effect, but I really think they don't care. I think these are globalists that don't like our country, and they don't care about that, and they just know that when 24 comes, they'll do the same thing they did in 2020.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's a lot of different things pulling at those decisions. I think, we're in a world economy too. So you look at China and how that has not bounced back the way they had expected.
Right.
So that's the other thing no one else is really talking about is it's not just our economy slowing, it's world economy. So you're starting to see some of those effects in other countries, which is another reason maybe why to pause. I don't know if there's a bigger plan. And I know that back in the previous election, that was a big to-do, some of the decisions that were made around the time of the election.
Yeah.
Does everything get rosy right when the people in power want it to be? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's either that or incompetence. Of course, yeah, it could be incompetence.
I would
these
say
were the people saying recession
exactly.
was or the inflation was transitory.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah,
I lean
got that
towards
wrong, didn't they?
incompetence more so than the other, just because there's so many different people in play. But
Yeah.
I think definitely confuse us all, so we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's scary.
That's universal.
Either way you look at it, it's scary. We're talking with Tom Rydberg here. He's the SVP of Residential Lending, and loansearch123.com is the website, loansearch123.com. Tom Rydberg. Let's talk a little bit about the rent versus own scenario. That's a big one that I like. I really like to kind of beat that drum to get people into home ownership. What are some of the biggest reasons why you think people aren't getting into home ownership?
I think now it could be uncertainty with maybe job situation, not as much locally because there's a lot of jobs and wages are going up in Florida more than other parts of the country. I think it's still a fear of the unknown. Maybe it's just not, we talk about, culture, and maybe you're the first in your family, you're a family in a history of renting. You don't know that you only need 3% down, or in many cases, no money down, that there's these different programs out there.
Yeah.
So historically, it's lack of down payment is the biggest obstacle.
Right.
Credit and other things come into play with that as well. But what we like to do is we like to run a scenario with their rent. What are you paying in rent now? What could you be paying for a house right now? And then speculate, because a lot of people are saying, well, I'm going to wait till rates come down, which is a logical approach to take. But again, I think when that happens, you're going to see a big uptick in prices. So we had that pause in the fall, beginning of this year, and it was ever so slightly in Florida. Mm-hmm. You're starting to see prices go back up because there's lack of inventory. And when those rates come down, there are a ton of people sitting on the sideline.
Competition.
So I think, we'll run the numbers. Okay, here's where you're at for renting. Even if your payment is a little bit higher right now, to be a home ownership and control your own destiny and have some security over the next, 5-10 years.
Yep.
And I don't think you should plan your life that 100% rates are going to come down in the next year or two, but very likely, and what that payment's going to look like then.
Yeah.
So I think when you run the numbers, unless you're in a really unique situation where you have super cheap rent, then maybe you hold on to that. But other than that, it's a good time to still buy.
Yeah, it really is. Get into the game, and the longer you wait, in my opinion, the worse it's going to be, and especially especially here in Florida.
Correct.
And you lend in other states too, is that right?
Yeah, we're nationwide, so which is it's fun to see the different markets and some of the things that are happening. So what I'm really impressed with Florida is, again, I identified that the reason everyone's coming to Florida, or so many people, it wasn't just the weather, it wasn't just no state income tax, it wasn't just for political reasons. There was a lot of different reasons, retirees, international, whatever. Some of the other states, Arizona, I work in quite a bit, and you saw big price increases over the last couple of years. They had a significant pullback over this past year. Now they're starting to kind of level off, and you're starting to see demand go back up. But Illinois, actually, surprisingly, prices have held pretty tight and have gone up. I was not expecting that, but there's still a lack of inventory. So that's more the suburbs than I think the city of Chicago.
People are moving out of the city, yeah.
They are. So that trend is continued. Yeah. And then there's just not a lot. Suburbs are a nice place to raise a family and whatever. Stay away from some of the craziness. So I think that is keeping values up as well.
Yep. All right, we're going to take a quick break there with Tom Rydberg, DK Mortgage, on the Consumer Quarterback Show. We're going to come back. I want to talk to him about insurance. That's a big issue right now with a lot of loans and a lot of processing on that. More coming up with Tom Rydberg. Also later on in the program, Jenny Restrepo, Insured Title Agency. We have an ongoing conversation with her about true crime, these different attempted crime, attempted fraud in the real estate space. We're going to talk with her about that. So stay with us right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, online at consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show, hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
Call Brandon today at 813-917-1894.
All right, welcome back. We appreciate you spending some time with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, supporting the local economy by supporting the Consumer Quarterback Show and all of our expert contributors. We want you to think about our show as the hub of your financial, your business, your real estate, all of those different home service providers, a hub of that wheel, and each one of those spokes extending out from that center hub being the show as one of our expert contributors. We talk to CPAs, attorneys, all types of great home service providers, of course, mortgage expert, so many different ways we help you here on the show. But it's up to you to engage and reach out to the program. So we greatly appreciate you doing that, supporting the local economy, voting with your dollars, and utilizing that dollar to support local area businesses that support local economy, local charitable organizations. And we got Tom Rydberg here in studio, DK Mortgage, coming up in just a minute. Before we do, hot listings here. We got a couple of new hot listings. 11332 Marjorie Avenue in Tampa. This is a beautiful executive style home. It's a large home, and it is completely maintained. I mean, this is a manicured yard, beautiful home here in Tampa. You've got 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, and we have an additional 315 square foot flex space above the garage. The kitchen is an oversized kitchen, granite island, stainless steel appliances, spacious lanai, beautiful property right here, large lot. And there's no HOA or CDD at 11332 Marjorie Avenue in Tampa. Beautiful property. Just did a price reduction on that one as well. Open house this weekend. 15900 Oakcrest Circle in Brooksville. This is another large estate-style home. It's over an acre of land. Beautiful home here. 4 bedrooms, 2 bath. You got a 3-car garage. Generous-sized living area with large rooms. You got a fireplace. Sliding glass doors that open up to a tranquil patio. Luxurious jetted hot tub, as well as a updated and newer AC sprinkler system and a generator. 15900 Oakcrest Circle in Brooksville, Florida. You can see all of our real estate listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
And yeah, I'm raising my glass to those saving our ass overseas.
And let's give a shout out to Discovery Golf Cars as well, longtime friends of the program. Discovery Golf Cars, multiple locations right here in Tampa Bay. They've got a Clearwater location, Tampa location, and I think I saw one up towards like Port Richey area. DiscoveryGolfCars.com, and let them know the real estate quarterback sent you. DiscoveryGolfCars.com. All right, Tom Rydberg in the house. Insurance is a big issue, Tom. We had an interview yesterday with Brian Lewis, our Top Quote Insurance, our expert contributor, and he was kind of going into some of that. But when it comes to putting these loans together, you got to know the insurance policy to get the debt ratio right.
Yeah, for sure. And we've had some horror stories over the years where, people, they think it's going to be a much quicker process and it drags out longer. And then when they finally do get it, they're kind of sticker shock. And usually it's just, okay, their payment's more than they expected. But I have had situations where it was no longer affordable for the client. And they, at no fault but their own, they had to walk away from the deal and they lost their earnest money. So that's kind of an extreme situation. But, Brian had a lot of good points because I listened to that show about getting engaged with your agent and having somebody that you can trust not only and is accessible, that's going to put you in the right policy to start with.
Yeah.
Because I think what happens too is, you call around for 4 or 5 quotes and you go with the lowest quote. Well, if you don't know that company and if they're not, one of your partners, good luck after you close. What a lot of times they'll change their policy and their coverage or want you to do a bunch of repairs, and then you can get dropped or just, it's the policy you thought you had is not exactly what you signed up for.
Wow.
So I've seen that firsthand. So just something to be aware of. And I always tell clients, start early. Get through, as you're going through your home inspection, start shopping that insurance and get that stuff set up. So
yeah, and especially the roof is they're real stringent now on the roof.
Yeah, and they're changing. I think they're going to want a longer span of life for a lot of those. For the insurance agents are going to require it, which from my standpoint, makes my job a little bit easier because it's rarely the appraiser or the lender that has the issue. It's the insurance company.
Right.
So, and there are, I'm sure you have context for people like, hard to get insurance policies, but you're paying a lot more. So even on your listings, I'm sure you talk to clients like, hey, this is going to come up. You can either do it now or you can do it later, which
Right.
I think from a resale standpoint, getting it done before you go to sell makes a big difference if you have the funds.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, a big problem for some clients is they have all this equity in the property, but they don't have the cash up front in order to make those repairs. So in those cases, we've actually been able to do a holdback for the client, whoever's buying the property, like, hey, we'll fix the roof afterwards, right? Either the seller can put up the money or the buyer can. But again, you have to be able to get insurance for the closing.
Right.
So that's a little bit of a different situation, but comes up, and it's good to have a solution if you need one.
Yeah, and a lot of times you can, like you said, you can take that policy that maybe not the best rate, that policy for those situations, get into the home, and then maybe refinance later on, pull some equity out, or who knows, get some kind of a loan.
Yep.
And then redo the roof, and now you get a much better policy in place.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I read an article this week. I think it was State Farm that's pulling out of California. Which I don't think they've been in Florida for a while, but
Wow.
I think that's going to continue to develop, regional insurance companies, and Florida's probably not going to be on the hot list where people want to be starting off. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're looking for the easy money too.
Correct,
So they're
exactly.
pulling out the hard areas.
Where can we write policies and never have to pay anything out?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tom, what's the best place for folks to reach out? Is it Close Faster?
Close Faster at Gmail. And then cell phone work, 630-550-2656. And nights, weekends, whenever, usually pretty quick to respond.
Awesome. Good stuff.
Yeah,
Close Faster at Gmail. Tom Rydberg, our go-to partner for all things mortgage and finance. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, good seeing you.
Taking a quick break. We're going to come back. Jenny Restrepo, Insured Title Agency on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And make sure you follow us online. We'd love to connect at Brandon Rhymes 1, at CQB Show, and also our YouTube channel. Over 2,000 videos on YouTube now. Brandon Rhymes Realty. We'll see you on the flip side.
Thanks for listening to my daddy's show. Please make sure to send him all of your real estate deals and subscribe to the Consumer Quarterback Show podcast on iTunes and Spotify, or check out our YouTube channel. Have a blessed day.